Alright, so this video is going to go over the concepts and the steps necessary to successfully complete the noun adjective agreement exercise Dr. Spence has given to you to do. So you really are trying to understand a lot of different things here, and that's why this exercise is difficult. One, you have to understand what cases are in Latin. I think most of you do from your declensions. You also have to know what parts of sentences are, like the subject of a verb, the direct object of a verb, and the indirect object of the verb, and even objects of preposition. So if those words sound like gobbledygook to you, you need to take a break, go talk to Dr. Spence so you can get some material that will help you understand the parts of a sentence, the subject, the verb, direct object, indirect object. If you don't understand those and how they relate to cases, meaning that the nominative case is the subject of the verb, the accusative case is either the direct object of a verb or the object of certain prepositions, if all of that stuff doesn't make sense, we can get some background material for you so that this video can actually make sense and help you. If you understand how to identify a subject, how to identify the nominative case, and that the accusative case is direct object, if you understand those things, then this video should help you rock on the exercise. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is look up your Latin words, right? So you'll be given a prompt. I'm going to go ahead and open up that screen here. Yeah. You'll be given a prompt where you have an English sentence, and let me go ahead and zoom in here. So we're given the sentence, the evil messenger calls the friendly men into the town. Okay, and then I'm asked to translate specific words. It's always a noun and an adjective. So the first thing I need to do is look up the terms I've used in the database for friendly and men. I have sheets available for that, and that's what we're doing. I know what these words are, I think, because I wrote them. So off the sheet, I'm going to get amicus, and I'm going to get weir for man, okay? So I have to do a few things. One, I have to identify what this noun is doing in the sentence, right? Then I have to identify the gender of that noun, and then I have to put it in the right case, okay? Now, identifying its role in the sentence is going to help me identify the case. So what is the role? If the noun is before the verb, right, then it's the subject of that verb, and we'd use the nominative case. I'm looking at it, boom, calls is my verb, I'm to the right of that verb, so I'm going to go down to here. If noun is to the right of the verb without a preposition, I just have the article the in front of it, there's no preposition, so I'm looking at the direct object of the verb, right, because it's to the right of the verb, so I want to use the accusative case here. So I look up on the board or I look in my brain, and I know that the accusative case, and I probably should have just started with the noun first because the noun's going to take the lead. The accusative case of man is virum. Now, I've got this in the accusative case, and now because it's masculine, I have to go on my adjective. I'm going to use second declension endings to show that this adjective recognizes that this noun is masculine. If it were a feminine noun, my adjective would take first declension endings. So like amicam, it would have that A pattern that would show up. But virum is masculine. So I'm going to use second declension to show, hey, my noun is masculine. Remember, the nouns will never change their declensions, but the adjective will based on the gender of the noun. That's what we call noun adjective agreement. Now, if I were to submit this at this point, I've got it in the accusative case, but I'm making a mistake here because it's men, which is plural. So now I have to go back to my chart. OS is indicative of accusative plural, and boom, I'm going to also make it agree because my adjective has to agree with the noun in case, accusative, number, plural, and gender. So that's why it's taking the second declension OS, okay? Now, the wild boy, okay? I look at my sheet. I've got ferus aum for wild. I've got puer, pueri for boy, right? The I on the end of pueri, right? If I look up that form, I've got pueri as my second principal part. That's telling me it's second declension. I look at the board at Dr. Spence's room. I've got an R up there next to my US, so R is a nominative masculine singular ending. So Ferus is going to keep second declension endings. Say that this was Puella, girl, Ferus would drop that US and it would pick up the A. Or let's say we've got a wild town, right? Opadum. It's Opadum, Opad, right? That's my principal part. That I is telling me it's second declension, but that UM, that's telling me it's neuter, right? And if that were the case, my chameleon-like adjective would take the UM, the second declension neuter ending, to match the gender of the noun. So let's go ahead and get this back to boy. Okay, that's my first step. And there would be ferus, puer. And now I have to, what does my chart say? Now I have to identify the role of the English noun. Is it before the verb? Oh, yes, indeed, because walking is the action that does or does not take place here. So I'm to the left of that. I'm going to stay in the nominative. And is it singular? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, it's ferus puer, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm glad we got this next one. The friendly sailors, right? Amicus, right? That's my principal parts there. And then sailor. I look up sailor, it's nauta, nautai, right? That's telling me it's first declension, right? But the funky thing about sailors, poets, and farmers is the dudes look like ladies. So even though nauta has this A on it, I am going to use the second declension. Now this is really important. Adjectives are going to always use second declensions if they're modifying a masculine noun. So even though nada is a first declension noun, our boy adjective over here is a truth teller. So he sees the gender of nauta, he sees it's in the nominative case there, he's taking second declension endings in the nominative singular to match with it. Now, I'm going to go and I'm identifying the role of that noun. Carrying is the action of this sentence. That's the verb. The noun is to the left of that. So I'm going to keep it in the nominative form. However, I see an S on the end of it in English, so that means I've got to take the nominative plural form in the noun, and then this US is going to change to the masculine plural, or the second declension nominative plural form to agree in case, number, and gender. All right, I'll do one more, and this is, maybe I'll do two more because I do have some prepositional phrases here. See, out of is a preposition down here, to, and we've got to be careful about to in English because it can be a bunch of different words in Latin. So let's first work out of. To me, that's day. I think, eventually we would take ex, from, and ab, from. So any of those three that give you kind of an idea of moving away from, that'll be fine. So day and inimicus is our adjective, and woods is silva. Silvae, it's first declension. So I'm going to get rid of my prompts for the neuter and for the masculine. All right. Now, I'm imagining, I can't do that in Blackboard, but this A is long, right? Because there are certain prepositions in Latin that demand the ablative case, right? If you remember SPIDO, subject, possession, indirect object, direct object, object of preposition, that's kind of a code for your cases. That object of a preposition for day is going to be ablative, okay? Now, the only issue I've got here is that woods is plural, so that's really going to be a long IS, right? Because in my declension chart, it's a long IS in the dative and ablative plural for both the first and second declensions. All right, to the unfriendly fathers. All right, now to, like if I'm going to give something or point something out to somebody, or if I'm going to do something and give the reward to my friend, that to is going to take the dative case. It's an indirect object. If you've got a noun that you're giving to another noun. I give this money to you. You is an indirect object. However, in English, to can also mean like towards. It's like a directional thing. And so, especially with verbs of action, not of giving, but of other kind of, especially movement, to is going to mean toward. And if you could substitute toward for to, then what you're going to use is odd. And what that's going to take is the accusative case, right? So odd, now inimicus a. And then fathers is pater patris, right? So that's telling me it's a third declension noun. That is in the genitive principal part is doing two things. One, it's telling me third declension, so I'm going to be using that set of endings, but also it's giving me the stem that I'm using to attach them to, right? Now check this out. I don't have an E in my stem. In the nominative singular, I have an E. So if they're doing the verb and it's singular, father is the subject of the verb, I'd see an E. But all other forms, it's P-A-T-R-I-S. So in this example, it's behind to, so I'm looking for the accusative. So I'm going to take my stem, I'm going to get rid of my nominative form, and my accusative, is it M or is it ES? Singular or plural? Boom, there's a plural ending, so I'm going to go ahead and use patres as my accusative plural form. Now, I've got to make inimicus. Now, patres, father, is masculine, so I'm going to take my second declension endings. Don't be putting third declension endings on an us, a, adjective, what we call a first and second declension endings. The principal parts will be us, a, They can't go to third declension. There is a set of third declension adjectives, but if you got us, a, in the dictionary entry, you can't use third declension on your adjective. But it's still going to follow the same rule. It's going to look at the noun. If the noun is masculine, it's going to use that second declension ending. Now I've got to adjust it. So inimicos is my accusative plural. So I'm looking at ad inimicos patres as a translation of to the unfriendly fathers. All right, I'm going to scan back out here a little bit, save and submit. Hopefully I've gotten those right. Otherwise, this video has been in vain. We got okay, and bada bing, bada boom. I got one, I got two. What did I do here? Okay. So my preposition that I used to create the database was X, but I've still got inimici silvis, so I'll add day to that database, so at least my own little example will be correct. And then two, I got odd for that, and inimicos patres is the right answer there. All right, hopefully that clears things up. Again, if things like direct object or cases and how they relate to roles in the sentences, if those are confusing concepts to you, we have other material that we can put your way, and you can understand those terms, because once you understand those terms, really it's just a step-by-step procedure, and like I said, it's right here. Boom, those notes are available not only on the board in class, but they should be in your notebook as well. So good luck. Let's see how you do.